What's going on YouTube? TeamSC back online here with another 3v3 game cast for you today. This is the 3v3 I played on ladder a couple weeks ago that I saved to go ahead and cast for you guys. It has been a couple weeks, so I don't exactly remember what all happened, so I should be just as surprised as you guys. All I know is it should be decent with a little bit of action because I wouldn't have saved it otherwise. So let me go ahead and introduce our players. We do have yours truly, TeamSC, spawning as the Orange Terran today. I'm up with my two allies, none other than Spec, the random player, spawning as Protoss with our third, none other than Brain Crusher, aka 2-base Mutalisk, aka 2-base anything. Today we are facing up against the Red Terran, whose name I cannot pronounce, so we'll just call him Neo for simplicity's sake. His ally is the Blue Terran, Ioxnet, but he is already going for a quick command center. It's not even a minute yet, guys. He's going straight for early expansion, playing very greedy, this gentleman is. Haven't even introduced all our players. And then our third over here is the real Bob. Ladies and gentlemen, right here, there is no other Bob at all. This one is the real one, playing as the Teal Protoss, sending his probe out on the map to go do a little scout, maybe see what's going on. For those of you who don't know, the backcountry, this map is a 3v3 map. You share one huge base with your three allies. There is a ramp leading up to it that's pretty, not too big, but not too small either. Pretty easy to defend. You do have three relatively easy to secure expansions down this ramp to the side. There's destructible rocks that can be destroyed to block the attack path momentarily, at least until the enemy team does destroy them. Our third bases are a little bit further down, another ramp. You get your others over here. There's another set of destructible rocks. These are already destroyed and can be broken down as well to allow an attack point. And then there's a couple miscellaneous bases here in the middle side of the map, including the opposite side as well. And these are just strange ones, difficult to secure, but needless to say there is a lot of options for economy on this map. Even two gold bases in the middle of the map that are hard to secure because they're covering the main attack path to each other's base. And as I say that, the real Bob has been very sneaky, went ahead and sent his probe out to expand to the gold base to try to get some extra mineral income. We did send a scout out, but if we go to our team view right now, we do not have knowledge of this. And actually, if you look at Brain Crusher's point of view, he did send an overlord to this gold base, but ironically they actually took the other one, which is pretty funny. So we have no knowledge of this gold base just yet. If it's about to be finished, if it's allowed to stay up real long, he's going to have a huge mineral advantage. For those of you who don't know, gold minerals yield a lot more than blue minerals as far as mining is concerned, so you do get a little bit of a bolus of income there. But we are scouting. Do you see that Red Neo has decided to wall this part off, so kind of denying me a little bit of scout. I think I made it through the front if I'm not mistaken. No, so we're actually, yeah, I did make it through the front, got a little sweep, did see the second command center, did see Protoss going for a normal build, but didn't see this expansion over here. So I am suspecting something funky from Protoss, so I actually went over here to try and scout because it just didn't add up that Protoss didn't have his, I think, second gas when I looked at it, and no expansion up yet. But this Reaper is going to come in and actually snipe out my scouting SCV. Did not get a chance to actually see this next. Actually just barely missed it. Instead of going over here, should have probably just went back to the home base. But that's okay. We do have Brain Crusher going for some early speedling. It's going to be going out on the map, doing a little bit of harassment. If we do take a look, we do have expansions going as well. Second base coming up for me, Spec and Brain Crusher as well. Ling's going to be running in. Do find the destructible rocks are down. Going to be running in, trying to see what he can do. But there are actually no bases here just yet. Blue did get an early game command center, but he has not lifted it off to land just yet. Going to be going up here, and unfortunately there is a wall, but there's no Marines behind it, so we're going to go ahead and hit this wall. No reason not to. SCV's going to have to come off and repair. SCVs want to be mining right now, but are going to have to come off just to keep the Zerglings from taking everything down too low to come in. But a Reaper does come, is going to scare off these Zerglings. These Zerglings are going to just keep running around, going to get poking at the front. And for some reason, the siege tanks rallied on the wrong side of the factory. So the wall is finished, but the siege tanks came out on the wrong side, getting a free pick there for the Zerglings. But those siege tanks are doing a lot of damage. Oh, siege. Okay, so we did lose a bunch of Zerglings there. Siege tank is still alive. Link's going to be trying to run in, really trying to get in and do a little bit of damage, but I don't know if that was completely worth it. He did lose a lot of Zerglings to the, how you say, the splash of the siege tanks, and all these Zerglings are going to die, so not a good trade. Brain Crusher had a bunch of Zerglings there, so a little bit of a blunder on his part. It was tricky. It looked like an easy snipe to get those tanks, but they were surrounded by the factory, so you couldn't actually get a good surround on them, and they managed to do enough splash damage to actually clean up all those Zerglings. So actually, it was a good trade for Neo. Got all those Zerglings for just 2 tanks, and nothing got to run by and go through the main base. But it does look like there's a little opening there. So Yes, so Zerglings can still run in unless they patch that hole up. Protoss does have some gateways up going for a Robo Bay getting the Observer out. Got 4 gateways on the way, and keep in mind this guy does have this gold base, so we do not know of it. He's got 6-7 probes mining, so he's going to have a lot more minerals than any of the other players. And he does look like he's going for an early game push too. Got the gateways done, Warp Gate is finished. Going ahead and researching +1 attack. Does look like Teal's going to be ready for some offense. And Blue Terran, I don't know what this is. I've never seen this build before, but he's got 5 barracks with all tech labs. Is he going for Marauders? Mass Marauders on 5 barracks. Does have 2 bases going, but hasn't taken the second base yet. So this is really not benefiting him too much. He does have mules, but he's going to run out of this minerals here too quick if he doesn't lift off this command center soon. Meanwhile, Red's still kind of doing nothing, playing it a little safe. Does have 1 missile turret up, but doesn't look like he is of the best skill on his team at this moment. Definitely slacking a little bit on his macro, but he is actually pushing out across the map. Does have a handful of Marines and a handful of tanks. Neo says, I don't care, I'm going to go ahead and do some damage, and we actually don't have too much at home. I do have a couple medevacs, a couple of Hellbats right now, but I was actually planning to go for some Hellbat drops, so I'm not really equipped to deal with this. Going to be going in, trying to pick off these tanks. I do see there by himself. I'm telling Richard, or Braincrusher, excuse me, come on, get on these tanks, but the bio for Blue has come in. They do have stim packs finished, and they are pushing across the map. A lot of Marauders, a few Marines, and do pick off my medevacs and all my Hellbats. So we were lifting up this wall. Do have a couple sentries here to keep a couple force fields up, but they are here. They are attacking. They have a massive force. Even more and more troops going in. Red's going to be sieging up his tanks and pushing our base. We do have some gateways going, but not a lot of army at home yet. Did opt to take more expansion instead of actually teching up. And factory is going to go down. Building 2 medevacs right now, but really no production. I just have 2 factories at home, and a couple of Hellbats are not going to cut it. Not enough sentries to keep force fields going. Going to be having to pull these stalkers back, trying to micro do the best we can. But this bio is stimming in. There are a lot of medevacs here to repair this bio. Even Protoss sending in a couple of troops, and Neo with a couple of tanks bringing them to siege. We do have a couple of Zerglings coming in from Braincrusher to the front. Going to be trying to force a little bit of engagement here, try to take a chunk of this army out. But those tanks have sieged up, so we do need to be so careful. We're going to go ahead and make this larger. Even Starport is going to go down. Going to have to get these medevacs out of the way. And it does not look good right now, guys. It does look pretty grim. Trying to hold on as much as we can, building more and more Zerglings for Braincrusher, more and more Stalkers for Spec over here. But really, I'm trying to contribute and help my team, but there's not too much I can do. I'm throwing up 4 factories now, but I didn't have enough production to deal with this yet. I went for, I think, a 3rd expansion instead. Do have the economy, but don't have the units right now, and did lose that factory in Starport, which really hurts on the amount of units I could build. Blue pushing in, stimming, doing a lot of damage to Spec, but hasn't got to the worker line just yet. Even Red bringing in some more Widow Mines, being very annoying, adding insult to injury, but going to be putting this tank in the medevac. Going to be trying to outrange all these things, tucking it in right here where the bio can't reach it, and just going to be doing my best to try to snipe off these units. Going to be picking off this tank and moving back a little further. Stalker does get in range. More Zerglings coming off for Braincrusher. A couple Photon overcharges coming down. Immortal doing damage. Mortal's about to get sniped. He does need to try to save that Immortal, and the Immortal does actually live. Does have a little bit of HP, but does go down. That Immortal hit was huge. It does a lot of damage to buildings and armored structures. But even more and more Zerglings coming in. It just does not look good. They're streamlining more and more bio for the enemy team, more and more Zerglings for Braincrusher. But everything is just getting eaten up now. But we do have those 2 medevacs that did survive before that starport got destroyed, and decide to go ahead and just build some tanks and try to just outmaneuver this, because I don't see how we're going to get through it. And doing the best we can, but does look like Bios can have to be forced to hold back a little bit. These tanks are a little bit just out of range, and they are going to be pulling back and opting to go for the other side. They're going to go straight for the expansion instead, decide to not risk it with the main base anymore. Do have a decent chunk of Hellbats coming in as well. Did get these factories up and now producing some tanks to try to help defend my allies. A couple of roaches here for Braincrusher and Zerglings, but it's not going to be enough to deal with this. Bringing the tanks back in the medevacs, trying to abuse that mobility, and need to be dropping these tanks soon before Braincrusher does lose his base. Not paying attention, once I got caught up, not really sure what I'm doing at this moment. I think I was doing a little bit of micro or macro on the other part. But again, I'm going to go ahead and be dropping these tanks down. Going to be trying to get as many snipes as I can. Going to be bringing the rest of the mech army to join and just kind of tank, make sure we help keep things alive. Do have Red still rallying tanks, Teal rallying more Immortals and Stalkers in, but going to be going to try ahead and sandwich this at the choke. Roachers coming in. Hellbat's going to be coming in, but Spec losing all of his workers. Excuse me, he got his workers out of there, but Spec taking damage to his base. We have action going on too many sides right now. We have tanks moving in, a couple tanks set up there to try to hold them at bay, but we do have the bio moving in. Even going to be dropping Braincrusher's 3rd base, but still bringing this tank with the medevac to try and just zone this out. Going to be even moving a little bit forward. Bio trying to run away, but going to be keeping this tank close behind to make sure none of this Bio lives. And there are a lot of medevacs here, but there's not too much ground anymore, and he is going to be lifting off to try to get out of there. Only about 3 units left in these medevacs, and we did manage to actually kind of hold it off, but not quite, because Red has more tanks here, more Immortals pushing in. Brain Crusher's base did go down, forced to lift off my second expansion, and it just does not look good right now, guys. Bob actually taking the gold base in the middle, and Iox taking the other gold base in the middle, so these guys have a dominating lead right now. 2 gold bases, map control, and they're really up in our face, doing a lot of damage, doing a lot of harassment, kind of keeping us at bay, but did manage to kind of stop that early harass with a little bit of tank drop micro. But there's still a couple tanks here. We're going to have to deal with this, and do drop a scan, I believe. Oh, nope, we're losing a lot of army. Army is on move command. Did not notice this at the time. But these tanks unsieged. Well, one of them unsieged, but there's more Immortals coming in. I don't even know what to say, guys. They're just actually going on everywhere. It's chaotic. But we're just going to be trying to hold position here on this ramp. Do have another chunk of Hellbats and tanks. Spec trying to recuperate a little bit. Does have a decent army there. A couple of tanks defending the front. And it does look like they decide to pull out. Spec going in, getting the Zealots to the front to take out the Immortals. And a big pick for us. Definitely need to get those Immortals. Very expensive units. Zealots very good against them. Immortals don't get their bonus damage. And on the other side, do pick up these last remaining siege tanks. But we do have another drop in the main base of Spec. These guys are unrelenting, attacking us left and right, guys. Bringing 3 tanks back, and the medevac's going to be dropping them, trying to zone it out. This tactics worked before, so I'm going to try again, and it does work. Bio does pull out of there, unable to deal with the stalkers, roaches, and the range of these siege tanks. And really, guys, this is one of my first times actually abusing the mobility of the siege tank medevac pickup. Don't use that ability too often because I usually go for dedicated mech, but since I was going for the Hellbat drops, I had got a couple medevacs, and you know what? I found out it was actually working, so I kind of just been sticking with it. And it does look like we have managed to hold. So right now we're working on stabilizing. There is a lot of damage everywhere. Worker count is low for Spec. Bases need to be mined. Need to retake this base here, but there are a couple Widow Mines here being very annoying. Trying to set up a perimeter, and then see another Widow Mine does take down my SCV. So just a lot of stuff going on everywhere. A lot of multitasking. Going to be dropping the scan, taking out these Widow Mines. Going to be trying to expand forward, take this base, but Blue is back in our face. Going to be dropping at Brain Crusher's 3rd base yet again. Actually, it's Brain Crusher's 2nd base now because he did lose his original 2nd base. So after this, Brain Crusher is going to be down to 1 base. Does not have a lot of income. Trying to run these drones out of here, trying to stay alive, but these drones are not going to make it. No army here to actually help defend this. Even the Red Terran, who I said was the weak link on this team, is doing work, bringing these tanks and Widow Mines to the front. Terran going to be going in, taking out my command center. I just dropped a bunch of mules. They're about to die. Going to be living off. Unfortunately, it does look like this army is mostly Marauders, so they won't be able to take out the command center too quick. Bringing the mech back, but this mech is highly immobile, so this is a very inconvenient thing to have to do whenever you're playing mech, guys, because Tank Hellbat is not the most mobile army, but I've been having to move them back left and right and just all over to kind of defend all these pushes that have been going on. But Protoss has come to join the battle, and it does look like they might be pushing in, but we do have a decent chunk of Hellbats here to protect these 3 tanks that we have. We do have a Viking going to be moving it up front to kind of spot and get a little bit of vision and see what's coming, but we do lose 1 tank. We only have 2 tanks here. There's plenty of Immortals and Zealots that can come down and kind of take this. Well, the Hellbats are going to do well against the Zealots, but those Immortals and tanks are going to eat up the Hellbats. So they do push in over here too, did wall this off with the engineering base out of desperation, left like 1 to 2 tanks there to try to prevent anything from coming in to harass, but main focus is here, big fight going down, Protoss bringing everything in, going to be dropping Hellbats on the tank lines, and these Zealots are coming in, eating everything up, even Blue Flame Hellbats doing a good job cleaning up, but not good enough because these Immortals are eating up this mech. Do have a couple of Vikings, couple of tanks, and I'm going to have to try and get out of there and minimize my losses. This base is going to have to lift off again. We will not have a 3rd anytime soon, and just going to have to back out. Brain Crusher did try to tech up for Ultralisk before he lost his base, but only able to pump out about 3. Zerglin's going to be running in, Ultra's going to be coming in and be able to deal with these tanks. Meanwhile, Spec has had time to recuperate, is going to be moving out on the map, does have an army of Zealots and Stalkers, going to be pushing in, going to be trying to do some damage to this gold base, but this gold base is nearly mined out, guys. They have got the benefits of it, but they have not actually taken their original bases yet, so doesn't look like it's as grim as I thought it was. They did get a lot of econ, they did do a lot of harass early, and they were doing a lot of damage, but we are trying to stabilize, but it's just having a real tough time to. Even these Cyclones coming in, going to be picking off my command center. I do need to get the repair on that. Can't lose that command center. There's my 3rd base. If we lose that income, we are going to be hurting bad. Blue back here, cleaned up something, not sure what it is. Have some Marines here. Going to be seeing all these Marauders out of position on this side of the map. Spec going to be moving in, bringing in some Liberators, tanks, and Vikings to join Spec. This is our time. We're going to have to push out now. Going to be splitting up these siege tanks so they all don't get doom dropped or sniped, and going to be working on moving across the map. Meanwhile, we do have the doom drop coming back in. Did put some Widow Mines here to try to catch this off guard because he's been dropping a bunch, but there's still 5-6 medevacs that have survived, but we still have a handful of tanks here. This tank going to be sniped. We're going to have to get these 2 tanks out of here and just kind of keep them at bay, and it is working, guys. There is enough structures here kind of keeping the bio from running up and getting on top of the tanks, and these tanks are hero tanks. 8 kills, 3 kills, but the real thing is that they've just been able to zone out this army and keep them from just going to town and just kind of moving these tanks out of position, getting a couple shots off, and then running back. And Spec's army is coming back in, going to have to come try to deal with the drops, bringing in the Stalkers, going to be boosting. These Widow Mine charges have recharged but haven't hit it, but Blue does get out of there, does keep a couple of his dropships alive, does have a decent army, chunk of army, but he did lose his gold base. Meanwhile, we do have Brain Crusher making mincemeat with his handful of units, a couple Zerglings and 1 lone hero Ultralist with 14 kills. Going to be moving across the map, going to be dealing some damage to this gold base, but it doesn't really matter anymore because Bob has mined out everything except the gas on this base. So all in all, it does look like we did manage to stabilize a little bit. Base is going up. Did get this 3rd base. Did actually get the repair on this command center, thankfully. Going to be 3rd down to 4th and really just trying to gear up. It's been a very scrappy game, guys. Did manage to get 1-1 upgrades amidst the chaos. Spec is still at 0-0. Not thinking about upgrades, getting too caught up in all the micro and battle that's been going on. Red Terran isn't upgraded, but this Blue Terran is 2-1, so he does have the lead on upgrades compared to everybody else, except Richard. Brain Crusher, actually. Despite only having 1 base, somehow Brain Crusher got to 3-3 on his Zerglings. So props to Brain Crusher for getting all that. But we do have some bio going from that. Going to be running these links back. Blue trying to come back, do what damage he can, but we do have 3 big pushes going on. Spec moving in at the front base. Storms, Archons, Zealots, and more, and the mech moving in on the side. Going to be moving up all these tanks, moving in. The Vikings and Hellbats going to be moving in, making sure they don't get to secure these bases, and we do have battles going on everywhere. Meanwhile, we do have a run by the back, our Blue Terran trying to do what damage he can, but at this point it does look like we have managed to turn the tide a little bit and stabilize, and there's the GG from Neo. Spec going to be moving in, doesn't look like there's too much left here. A couple of SCVs, 1 random tank. These bases are going down, locking down everything with the tanks, Liberators, and bringing in more. Still staying tried and true. Been using the medevac tank pickup all day and still doing it now. And all in all, guys, I have to say that this worked out. Does not look like there's much left. A couple of bio going to be coming home to try to deal with this, but it is not just going to be enough. Everything getting stormed, everything going down, and these last medevacs are about to die. Even Brain Crusher coming back to take out that gold base. Alright, guys, so it does look like it is pretty much GG at this point. It was a very scrappy game. I really don't know how we came out of that. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please leave a like. Oh, a battle cruiser. This is what he's staying in for. He's trying to make it work. He's trying to live the Terran dream, guys. Does he have Yamato cannon? No. He's doing mass repair. The Ionic Storm's going to be taking it out. And that's the GG, guys. Alright. Alright, guys. Let me know what you think. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment. I enjoy reading them. Please subscribe to help grow the Team Game StarCraft community. I hope you enjoyed this game. I really feel like it was definitely a good game for the tank drop micro. That's not going to be a thing anymore once the new balance changes come out. But don't get me wrong, I am excited for the new version of the tank as well. Anyways, guys, till next time.